So these are my two air-cooled Porsches. There's a 1970 911T and a 1995 993. They're nothing super rare. They're both base model 911s. The first generation of the air-cooled and the last generation of the air-cooled. This one we had completely restored. When I bought it, it was in rough shape. Had a lot of rust. The rocker panels were all gone. A lot of rust in the front, around the headlights. There's a shop in Mooresville, North Carolina called Carolina Custom Coach Crafters, who did a great job on it. 2-year-long restoration. Completely rebuilt the engine. Did everything to it. Complete repaint, interior, and it came out great. I've always liked Porsches since I was a little kid. I had a 996 that I was using as a daily driver, and I bought this one. Is the second Porsche I've ever owned, and I love it. I love everything about it. The color is called Tangerine. It's fun to drive. It's fun to look at, and a little bit about the history of this car. It's from Denver, Colorado. It actually has the original tag on the back here, a dealership called Van Hagest, Denver, Colorado, and it was pulled out of a garage of an elderly man in Denver and sold to a dealer. I bought it off of the dealer in unrestored, pretty rough condition, and that elderly gentleman was a little hard to communicate with. He had promised paperwork on the car but never delivered, so it always kind of bothered me that we didn't have any history on this car. But once we got it completely restored, I sent a self-stamped return envelope with a picture of the car to him and asked him if he had, to the address that was on the title, and asked him if he had any paperwork at all on it, and never heard back from him until about 3 years later. Out of the blue, I got an envelope in the mail with the original window sticker and all the paperwork on the car. Original bill of sale from the dealership, every bit of maintenance, oil change. The original, it was a 2-owner car before I owned it. The original owner was a lawyer in Denver who bought it 1970, took meticulous care of it, and before he sold it in I think 1995, he made a spreadsheet with every mileage listed of what he'd had done to it, every oil change, tires, everything. We think it has 113,000 original miles on it, and I was thrilled to get that paperwork. And then the second owner didn't really seem to keep any records, so we don't have a lot of info from him. And like I said, there was no letter involved, so I don't really know what his story was, but it means a lot to me to have that original history and paperwork with it. We can take a look at the engine. This is a 2.2 liter flat 6 original Weber carbs, and this was all dirty and grimy and old looking, but it's been completely rebuilt and looks and runs like new. This is the other one. Like we said, this is a 1995 993 Tiptronic. I purchased this 3 years ago, and this is as opposed to that one, which is perfect. This one is anything but. It's a real driver. It's probably the worst 993 I've ever seen. I saw it for sale on eBay. We're here in Davidson, North Carolina, and the gentleman selling it was in South Carolina, and he was asking, well, nobody was buying the car for what he was asking for, but since it was close by and I was really looking to get into a 993, I drove down and bought it from him, and it's great. I love it. Like I said, it's a Tiptronic, which people don't think is cool, and nobody really wants those, but I don't mind it. I like cruising around in it for fun. It is beat up. It's got multiple colors of red on it. It has dings and dents on pretty much every panel. The gentleman I purchased it from had a pit bull that chewed up the back bumper. So you can see there's bite marks back here and chewed the bumperettes off of it. It's been a lot of fun. It needed some work when I was driving it home. I had to get home at a certain time to get my kids off the school bus, so I was going like 90 miles an hour down the highway, and this was the day I bought it, and it kept stalling out just driving down the highway. All of a sudden, nothing, pressing on the gas, nothing, and then it would kick back in and start driving again. So it needed a little bit of work. That turned out to be an oxygen sensor problem, and it's gotten a new brake master cylinder and all new belts, and tightened up some stuff that was causing oil leaks. But other than that, it drives great, and it's been a great car. And this is just how I bought it. He had these wheels on it. He had it lowered. The gentleman I purchased it from was a 65-year-old guy named Bernard Stukes, who lives in the middle of nowhere in South Carolina, in an area where there's cotton fields and pine trees for as far as you can see in any direction. And he just loved Porsches. He had owned 13 Porsches. He was very proud of them. This was the last one he owned, but he had had a stroke, had some difficulty speaking, and couldn't get in and out of it, wasn't driving it much anymore, so he was ready to sell it. But he and his wife, they worked at the local factory down there that made medical supplies all their life, and his wife told me, you know, back in the 80s, Bernard was the only guy in town showing up to that factory in a Porsche every day. So I just think it's neat to find enthusiasts like that everywhere. You just never know that they're in the middle of South Carolina, in a part of the country that a lot of people don't even really know about. There's a Porsche enthusiast who loves these cars. He did a lot of work on it himself, and then passed it on to me. So that's my other one.